In April this year, the Pentagon released declassified footage of unidentified flying objects captured by the cameras of military aircraft. Although some of this footage has already been circulating in the public domain for some time, the Pentagon said it wanted to, quote, clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage that has been circulating was real or whether or not there is more to the videos, unquote. Is the US government finally coming clean about extraterrestrial visitations, or is there something else going on? Join us on Aliens Explored as we discuss the Pentagon's unexplained aerial phenomena videos.
Aliens Explored is a weekly podcast exploring famous and obscure cases of UFO sightings, alien abductions and other strange events from both a believing and a sceptical perspective whilst keeping an open mind. I'm Stu Jackson, a professional actor and amateur ufologist with a particular interest in the crop circle phenomenon. I'll be debating that otherworldly visitations are real. The truth is out there.
And I'm Neil Kelly. I'm a professional actor as well and used to work for the military as an intelligence analyst. I'll be arguing from a more doubtful point of view. I mean, it's all a bit far-fetched, isn't it? Hello listeners, welcome back to another episode of Aliens Explored, a weekly podcast where we look at unexplained extraterrestrial or just strange phenomena. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Neil Kelly.
And I'm Stu Jackson.
And today we are going to be looking at the 3 declassified videos that the Pentagon released in April 2019, apparently depicting UFOs.
April 2020, wasn't it, Neil?
Oh, sorry, yes, April 2020. It was, yes,
yeah,
sorry,
this year.
It was this year,
this
yes,
year,
April,
yeah.
April this year. Time has gotten away from me, yes. So yes,
2020, the year that never was.
Monday, the 27th of April, 2020.
Yeah.
They released these.
It's half the press. You've watched the videos, presumably, Neil.
I have, yeah. Apparently, these have been in circulation for a while, after unauthorized releases as early as 2007. But this is the first time the Pentagon said no. These videos were captured by US Navy pilots. And we're going to actually release them now. What impressed me at the time that these came out was how little interest there seemed to be in them. I think Trump was in full flight on some hobby horse, or whatever, and the Pentagon suddenly said, "Well, look, here's some footage of UFOs." And it was, yeah, never mind that. We still want to ask Trump about this. So it was kind of.
It normally works the other way with politicians, doesn't it? That people get distracted from what the politicians are doing when they should be looking at it.
Yeah, absolutely. You do wonder why they chose that. Well, chose that time to suddenly release these or officially release these videos that had been unofficially in circulation for a decade or more.
Well, the claim, so you're right in what you say. So one of the clips is from November 2004, and that had already been leaked in 2007. The other 2 are from 2015, and they had come out in 2017. So, but of course, the trouble with leaked footage is it calls a lot into question, like, well, how real is it? Can you verify it? And of course, when it's leaked, you can't say, oh, yes, I got it because I'm Mr. X and I work in this. You can't say that because you'd instantly lose your job. Or even worse, with the case of the Pentagon, perhaps. So, but they had definitely been doing the rounds for quite some time. So the Pentagon claim they released it to, and I quote, clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage that has been circulating was real?
Well, a statement on the Department of Defence website said, after a thorough review, the department has determined that the authorised release of these unclassified videos does not reveal any sensitive capabilities or systems and does not impinge on any subsequent investigations of military airspace incursions by unidentified aerial phenomena. So that's classic the military. If for instance, I know, having worked in the intelligence services, that if a piece of information is leaked, it's not so much the information itself. I mean, the information might even be in the public domain. What they're more concerned about is what it reveals about our capabilities for gathering that information. So
Yes.
so they will always be very careful. If we're going to release anything, does this give away any of our secrets?
Yeah, I saw the same quote, and I just thought, oh, that sounds like standard boilerplate to me.
It would have been, yeah, but they would have that would have been the acid test before they revealed anything to say, well, does this show anything about our capabilities that an expert eye? I mean, maybe Joe Public wouldn't notice anything by it, but would a Soviet military, or Soviet, it doesn't exist anymore, a Russian or a Chinese analyst be able to imply or infer some kind of capability just from watching this video? That's what they're concerned about.
Indeed. Well, let's review the videos themselves then. So the 2004 video is basically, it shows a stretch of water. You do have landmarks in the form of waves that can be clearly seen on the video, and you do see almost cylindrical. It looks to me like a pill, like a medical pill that you would take.
Yeah, the kind that's shaped to be easy to swallow. So not a round one, but a
sort of oval shaped.
Yeah. The more expensive kind of paracetamol.
Yes. We have no idea if this UFO will help you with your headaches or not, but it seems to be zipping above the water at a phenomenal speed. It appears to be, and the aircraft pilot seems to get is it a lock on it? So you'll have seen the video where the center of the image, it has lines on it, and they seem to sort of lock into place in a square around it. And
yes, although there seem to be a couple of things whizzing by first, I assume that's just earlier footage. It's just an editing problem there. But we're only talking about one thing, aren't we? There's not several white pills skimming the surface of the sea.
If you're watching the video on the BBC website, for example, you get to see, first of all, the 2015 footage, then the 2004 footage, and then 2015 footage.
Yes,
the different videos.
Watched,
so they are right. Well, they're out of sequence. Then it's the middle one.
That one was in the middle, but it looked like you see something white flash past, and then you see something else white flash past. They're saying, "What's that?" And then they finally get a lock on this thing that's obviously travelling at. I mean, it's hard to tell. I'm assuming it's at a low altitude above the sea.
It appears to be, although it is very hard to gauge distance. So how big are those waves? Without knowing altitude, it's very hard to determine sort of size and of course speed as well. But it does look like it is shifting along. And even the pilot says something like, "Woo, I've got it." So like it got a lock. So can't see any wings.
No, it just looks like a white pill, and it's something that appears to be travelling at a high speed, and it's going from the top right to, well, it's sort of going from right to left, isn't it? But slightly higher down to the, not exactly from the top right to bottom left, but on that sort of trajectory.
From 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that sort of. So
on the screen. I mean, we've no idea what presumably the aircraft must have been keeping pace with it.
Or at least we're able to get a lock on it, so...
But it doesn't move through the frame, that's what I mean. It stays static in the centre of the frame.
Once they got locked onto it, I imagine that's their targeting system. It
seemed to be. So that was quite a... Now the second one, so on the video on the BBC website, it's the first video. You see, again, it seems to be some sort of white cylindrical object again. Just moving quite happily through the sky. Again, at what seems to be incredible speeds. I mean, but to be fair, I'm saying that a jet moves at an incredible speed. You know, terrestrial objects can move at incredible speeds. But it doesn't look like any terrestrial aircraft I've ever seen.
No.
Military intelligence, Neil, how about you?
I can't explain it. I mean, there's the first video as well, where you got something that looks like a child's top that's sort of hovering in the air and seems to turn on its side.
Oh, the one that's tumbling. Yes.
Well, very slowly, because it's almost
yes.
I mean, it slowly rotates 90 degrees or more.
This is
clockwise.
not. It's not an out of control tumbling. It's a gentle, deliberate. It tumbles a little bit, and then again a bit more. Now that third one, very interestingly, do you recall? Now, funnily enough, we mentioned him in the last episode as well. But do you remember when we talked about Bob Lazar in the third episode?
Yeah.
And he described in detail through hypnotic regression. He was able to describe in some detail how these spacecraft operated. And what he described was you'd have basically the traditional shape of a UFO with three almost like spherical sort of domes underneath. And these would be the anti-gravity drives that drove it. So in normal terrestrial atmosphere, these domes would be facing the ground. And you'd get a flying saucer in the traditional example that we'd recognise it. But he said, but what they did when they wanted to travel faster than light, and they would angle these domes up towards their destination point, and they would travel sort of bottom first. And that stuck in my mind when I was watching this video and seeing this thing tumbling over. It almost looked to me like it could have been getting into position for something like that.
It also crossed my mind it could have been getting in position to deploy its main weapon.
It could have been, although these things were not fired on.
No, I'm thinking if I was a pilot of a military jet and I saw something in the sky that I couldn't identify, any move it made would make me very... I mean, these guys seem to just be excited. I mean, wow, look at that dude. Yeah, look how fast it's going. You know, they don't seem at all concerned by the possibility this thing could be about to just obliterate them. Yeah.
Well, the pilot of this rotated said specifically, look at that thing, dude. It's rotating. And it was said with excitement and glee. And they were definitely... All three of them seemed really excited to be seeing this. But here's the other thing. All three of them, so we're talking about experienced military pilots. They know their aerial phenomena. They know what they're looking at. They are good quality witnesses in that regard. None of them knew what they were looking at.
And they're notoriously not given to flights of fancy or imagination, or they probably don't even read fiction of any kind.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of personality you got there. They're just interested.
Except on Fox News. Ew. Sorry.
Yeah.
Had to get that one in there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's.
Donald
It's
Trump
really
said to ABC News, "I think it's probably I want them to think whatever they think. They do say, and I've seen, and I've read, and I've heard, and I did have one very brief meeting on it, but people are saying they're seeing UFOs. Do I believe it? Not particular." So,
As
not particularly
concise and
helpful.
clear.
Donald.
Concise and clear there. But hang on, right? So I'm just going to. We'll digress on this a little bit. So he's saying that he doesn't believe that people are seeing UFOs. He doesn't understand what UFOs actually are.
I think what he's referring when he says UFOs, he's talking about otherworldly craft.
He's talking about flying
alien
saucers.
spaceships. Even though, to a military pilot, a UFO is just something that's there in the sky that is unidentified.
Yeah. Well, I think in America, they're trying to move away from UFOs now and go into what's the phrase they like to use now? Unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah,
I suppose I can see that being more accurate. Actually, now I think about it,
it's more
because
accurate.
it might not be an object; it might be an optical illusion.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it doesn't do the job for me of distinguishing between something that you've seen in the sky that you can't quite work out what it is, and something that looks like an alien spacecraft. So when we say UFOs, to some people that means alien spacecraft. To other people, it just means something in the sky that we haven't been able to identify.
Yeah.
If you want to be precise about what UFO means. We need a term that. So if you're saying unidentified aerial phenomena, that's pretty much saying the same thing, isn't it? You actually need to be able to say.
It could be an unidentified aerial phenomena that is falling. A UFO would have to be flying, not falling.
Would it? If you saw...
Or what if it was floating?
I mean, I can imagine a UFO that's coming here to Earth on a mission could just come straight down, and it would look like a falling object. It would just be coming straight down... Maybe crashing going to the bottom of the sea.
Crashing in New Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah, crashing in New Mexico. But yeah, it could be something else. It could be something caused by meteorological phenomena. It could be that creates the appearance of people have mistaken clouds for UFOs before.
They have, absolutely.
There's no actual craft there, but it looks like it.
Yeah. So with these videos, then, so what are you saying, that the timing of it was to distract people? I mean, April 2020, of course, we had the coronavirus outbreak. People are sort of panicking about that. I think in America was Donald Trump still saying, "Oh, it's nothing really. Don't worry about it. It'll be over with before you."
Well, I think anyone who's done any kind of media studies, whenever something appears in the news, whenever there's an official government statement about something, the questions you ask about, who's telling me this? What is their agenda? What are they not telling me about it? And what are they possibly trying to distract me from?
Yes.
So
I don't believe for one moment it is to clear up misconceptions.
Well, I'm
by
thinking
the
it could
public.
be either one thing or the other. It could either be let's put this out now because it will distract from some awful cock-up that's going on in government. Or it could be, we've been meaning to release these videos, but it was a lady called Jo Moore, wasn't it, who on 9/11 famously said, this will be a good day to bury bad news. This will be a good day to release all the stuff that we know we've got to tell the public. We know there's going to be a shitstorm over them, so let's just tell them while there's an even bigger shitstorm, and people are just kind of okay, well, I'll deal with that later. I'm focusing on something else at the moment. Although that was exactly her job. She was a media consultant, a PR person. It was her job to say things like that, but she'd obviously made an enemy somewhere who dropped her right in it and made her almost as hated as Osama bin Laden over 9/11 because she'd said this thing.
That just says to me that in that position she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, so the question is, if this was a politically motivated release of information, was it sent out during some kind of, I can't remember which particular shitstorm was going on April this year in the American government, but it seems
I'm inclined to think it was something COVID related.
Possibly, but it's maybe the death toll reached a certain level. So it could be, is this a good time to release this information when not many people will take much notice of it, because people didn't seem to take too much notice of it. It wasn't a big story. We always expected that when it was finally announced that yes, our alien visitors have arrived and they're going to live out in the open now, and they're basically going to tell us how to run things, that would be the main news. Everything else would suddenly they got the US government saying, well, here are the UFOs, and nobody's particularly interested. So is it they're releasing this information to distract us from a shitstorm, or they've released it under cover of a shitstorm?
If there was ever a year that anything like that was going to happen, though, where aliens were going to land and be our overlords, this
2020 would be the We're kind of we're at our most compliant now, aren't we? We're just taking. So. Oh, it's just more.
I heard a fantastic story that 2020 is evidence of time travel having been invented, because it's the theory that, in these time travel movies where people go back and they want to put right some sort of wrong, and they put it right and then something worse happens, so they go back and try and put that right, and then something even worse happens again, and they keep going, and every time they go back and try and put it right, it ends up getting worse and worse and worse. That's 2020. That's what's happening right now. So there we go. Okay, well, it sounds to me like you're seeing this as pretty damning evidence about the existence of otherworldly vehicles being captured on video. If you're saying now's the time to hide it, and the timing of it suggests that, so do you know what? It's a little bit earlier than we would normally do, but I think now is a good place for us to summarise. So yeah, what do you think of these videos, Neil?
God, I still have so many questions about why. They've had this kind of thing for decades, haven't they? They've had footage of strange things in the sky, and then suddenly they're going to officially release them.
They have other things that have been leaked over the years that they've not released.
Yeah. Why have they suddenly decided that they're going to...
Oh, I agree with you about the timing of it completely.
Yeah, it's...
But putting that to one side, the actual videos themselves... Is this the quintessential smoking gun?
I don't know. They certainly don't seem to portend anything. No one's saying, brace yourselves, they're here, they've arrived, and their technology is far superior to ours, and we're just going to have to see what they want. No one's saying anything like that.
That really sounds like you're accepting, these are otherworldly spacecraft. Otherworldly vehicles.
They are certainly. It's it's Pentagon footage. It's US Navy pilot footage of something that the pilots can't explain it. And watching the footage, I can't think, oh yeah, that looks like it might be this or it might be that. It definitely looks like 3 different examples of unidentified aerial phenomena. It's definitely not clouds. It's not a meteorological thing.
There appears to be intelligence in the movement. Not on every video, but certainly on some of them. Have we made a believer of you, Neil? Is this the moment?
Yeah. Well, there's certainly something there, and I don't know what it is. I don't know, and I don't know what I should be doing about it.
And there we go, listeners. The journey begins. So, I mean, from my perspective, this is in many ways it's very exciting to see footage like this, footage that's validated and officiated by the government, by the Pentagon. But at the same time, it's also old news. There's loads of footage like this out there in the public domain that has been for years, but you've just had people like the Pentagon saying, oh no, it's nonsense, it's a reflection off Venus or something stupid like that. So there we have it. But you've raised the $1 million question there, Neil. Okay, but what do we do about it?
And if it had been released in another year other than 2020, would there have been perhaps more of a public reaction to it, more interest in it, more demands for further information?
Well, that would be a political question.
Yeah. Can we interview the pilots? Can we,
Yeah. There we go. What do you think, listeners? Do look up this footage and have a view of it yourself. It is pretty damning and very, very exciting stuff. And let us know what you think. If you think, we've missed something, if there's something mundane and terrestrial that it could be, do let us know. But let us know as well if you're a believer like me and like Neil is now. We've persuaded him.
No, I'm on the fence. Last. I'm on the fence.
We'll see what we can do next time then. So don't forget to join us then, where we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving. Now, this comes out a day after Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all our American listeners. And it may be a tenuous one, this. I mean, obviously, you'll know that we are British. But in our... I'm going to take sole responsibility for this. I'm going to let Neil off the hook. But in my attempt to relate it to Thanksgiving, we'll be wondering if the sky people of the Native American beliefs were actually aliens.
Wow.
It's a big question. It's a big question, and there'll be a lot to talk about.
Well, I look forward to that one then.
Yeah. So there we go. So in the meantime, do stay tuned. Keep watching those leaked videos and the skies. That's it from me.
And that's it from me.
Take care until next time.
Happy Thanksgiving in the meantime.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Bye. Aliens Explored is a Fecal Films production in association with Juicy Falls. Music by Darren Mafucci and editing by Stu Jackson. Find us on Twitter or Facebook by searching Aliens Explored, or visit us on aliensexplored.com.